Thank you for joining us for the concert. Learn more about the powerful connection between music and brain health by checking out the information at www.aarp.org/brainhealth. Hi, everybody. I'm Andy Bozarth, Director of Outreach and Advocacy for AARP Kansas. Welcome to the Friday Night Concert Series. We have a special treat for you tonight. We're skipping the music and we're going straight to the magic. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show of Curtis Sneeden.
My earliest inspiration in the art of magic was my grandfather. He was an artist with very kind of mysterious tastes, if you will. He was mainly an oil painter, and being at his house and rummaging through his studio with all sorts of little hidden drawers and that sort of thing just it kind of defined the sense of intrigue that I love about the art of magic. So I think it goes back to him. In my mid-40s, early to mid-40s, I came across one of my old magic books. By then I had acquired a library of them, and it sort of lit the spark again. And I decided, you know what, let's do something with this. And I worked up some material and found myself an audience, and that was really the first time, aside from my parents at a party or something, that was the first time I'd performed a show. The reception was positive, and that's kind of all it takes to incentivize a person to keep going. So, the one thing that has been encouraging about this experience of performing is that I realized that taking it on as a serious art in my 40s meant that I was in a position to draw from a broader array of life experiences and kind of insights about the human condition that a 40-year-old would have, which I think gave the effects that I was performing, that made them a more gratifying experience for adult audiences. They didn't feel that I was, this isn't kid stuff. It's like we're really talking about life and mystery. So that's been an important part of how I've tried to explore this art.
Actually, to be fair to you, you just haven't seen it yet. That's called sleight of hand. Have you ever heard the phrase sleight of hand before? That's what we magicians do. But I prefer not to use it. Here's why. Let's suppose I take this and I'll do something astonishing. Okay? But I'll put it in my hands. How about if I make it? That's pretty good. I have a feeling, Macy, that the wheels in your mind are turning backwards right now. And you're going to figure out how to slide it in. Right? But disappear from your hand. Now that'd be something, wouldn't it? Okay. I make a nice mess. Turn it over to my hand. This is amazing. You are the greatest magician on earth. David Copperfield doesn't know how to make a thing disappear from another person's hand. It's a tiny screw, bronze, square fellow magician. That big silver coin, it's
As far as I'm concerned, what makes this such a gratifying experience for me, and I hope for my audiences, is that it's not about trickery. It never has been for me. It's about connecting with people. And this art opens pathways between the performer and the audience, usually people who you don't know, that are special and unusual, and it can be a beautiful thing to just be performing for even a small group of people, and you'll realize that you've really kind of caught a nerve. And as often as not, I'll perform an illusion and then end up talking to the people in the audience for another 5 or 10 minutes because we've discovered that we have something in common, or there's something even more interesting about them than the magic. And it's also, sometimes I still am astonished by the impact that a good piece of magic can have on a person. When you're the one performing, naturally enough, you kind of know what's happening, and it is actually part of the magician's internal dialogue to believe what they're doing, to lend an authenticity to what's happening. That being said, it would be easy to get a little jaded and lose a connection with the fact that you're purporting to do amazing things. Well, every great once in a while, someone in the audience will sort of take you up on that. And that's a very refreshing moment when you realize, look, that was special for them and for me, because just for a moment you really got to go someplace where you normally aren't. Nobody's pretending that a guy performing magic on a stage or in a restaurant is literally doing anything supernatural. I wouldn't even stand for that as a claim. But it's about little moments of setting aside your normal sense of things and entering into a different, more magnificent realm. And when you have those little sparks of connection and realize you've taken somebody there, that's really what this is about. It's a beautiful thing.
Great. You get to choose red or black.
Black.
You've chosen black. Would you like to change your mind?
No.
We'll stick with black. Throw it back over there. Somebody catch the little bundle of ropes. Very good. You've caught the ropes, and now you get to choose either spades or clubs.
Clubs.
Okay, you've chosen clubs. Do you want to stick with clubs?
Yes.
You could change your mind.
Okay, I'll change my mind.
Oh, we have to start over. Okay, you want to go with spades or clubs?
Clubs.
Okay, we'll stick with clubs. Throw it down here. Ooh, it's falling apart. You get to choose numbers or faces.
Faces.
You can change your mind.
We'll stick with faces.
Sticking with faces. Throw that up here. Throw the rope up here, and somebody. Okay, good job. They all stay together. You have the final choice. You get to choose any face between, Jack, Queen, King, or could we agree the ace is a face too, just so he has more options? Is that okay with you?
Jack.
Jack. You've chosen the Jack of clubs. Surely we can agree that given the incredibly democratic process we just went through, there is no conceivable way I could have known in advance that we'd be talking about the Jack of clubs right now, right? Thank you for agreeing with me. This is so much more work when you argue at that point. The Jack of clubs. We couldn't have known. And yet, this deck of cards has been hanging in plain view since before you walked in. And nobody's touched it until now. Now, I will agree, there is something special about this deck of cards, aside from the fact that it's huge. What's special about it is that there is one card in this deck that's turned around facing the wrong way. To be clear, I don't know which card it is. Actually, earlier today, I asked somebody else to pull a card out, turn it around, and shove it back in. So they didn't see it, I didn't see it. That's not the point. This isn't about me. This is about you. And whether we have managed to tap into something that's bigger than any of us. Some people call it the wisdom of the crowds. Carl Jung called it synchronicity. I just call it astonishing. Magicians get a bit of a bad name because many people have been traumatized by a birthday clown at some point in their lives. But in fact, magic and science have a lot in common. If you think about it, scientists spend, their whole careers trying to solve mysteries, and well, we magicians, we spend our lives trying to create mysteries. But one of the greatest scientific thinkers of the last century, he developed some ideas that, they probably create more questions than answers. Albert Einstein knew that, in our normal experience of reality, there are 3 dimensions. There's height, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's width, which denotes a side-to-side movement. And then there's let's just call it depth, okay? Depth is a way of saying that small things fit inside bigger things, right? That's common experience, 3 dimensions. Well, Einstein postulated a 4th possibility. He called it space-time. And one of the strangest implications of Einstein's thinking
is that under the right circumstances, it might be possible to go back in time. And, according to Einstein's theories, under the right circumstances, it might be you know what? Why don't you stand up here for a second? Hold your hand out just like this. I want you to feel the power of this. Under the right circumstances, it might be possible to travel back into the future. But one of the spookiest ramifications of Einstein's thinking is that under the right circumstances, it might be possible to be in two completely different places at the exact same time. So, you tell me, who's the scientist and who's the magician? He was from Argentina, and his name was René Lavande. Now, Lavande is not all that well known here in the United States, but to those audiences around the world who witnessed his performances, this man was a legend. Here's the thing. René Lavande only had one hand. He lost the other one in a car wreck when he was a kid. And yet he could do more with one hand than most of us could do if we had three. Today I want to share some of Lavande's magic with you. You'll be glad that he refused to listen when people told him his dream of becoming a great magician was impossible. He would begin by dealing out the three aces and leaning them up against the wall. And then he would take three indifferent cards and deal them out for each ace. Now, that might be a term we don't use very often in ordinary conversation, indifferent. All it means to us is that the identities of these cards doesn't make any difference to us, right? We don't really care which cards they are. The point is that each ace gets three. And remember, the great Lavande is doing this dealing with one hand. So three indifferent cards for each ace. And then he would take one of the aces, say the ace of spades, maybe, and it's three indifferent cards, and he would set them off to the side somewhere, someplace where they were safely out of range, but in plain view the entire time. Then the magic would begin. He'd take that first ace, the ace of clubs. He would mix it in with the three indifferent cards, and then he would show you the three indifferent cards. And to your utter astonishment, that first ace, the ace of clubs, seemed to just vanish before your eyes. He'd move on to the second ace, the ace of diamonds. Again, he would mix it in with the other three cards. He would show you those three cards. And again, to your utter astonishment, that second ace, the ace of diamonds, seemed to evaporate. He would move on to the final ace, the ace of hearts. He would move even more slowly than before. He would say, "No puedo hacer más despacio." I can't do this any more slowly. And then he would very slowly, just to prove he was being fair, he would count out 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And none of them was an ace. Now, as astonishing as all that was, your jaw would drop open when you saw that the ace of spades, which, remember, had been across the room the entire time, had now been joined by its three compatriots. René Lavande's giant aces. Well, I hope you enjoyed our time together. May I share one last sentiment with you before we go? Are any of you veterans of the armed services? Anybody related to one?
Yeah,
Who are you related to?
my grandfather.
Okay, what, was he in the Army or?
In the Marines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you have a sense of this. I feel that it's very important whenever I have the honor of an audience to take a second to remember some of the very brave men and women, like your grandfather, who have worked for our country in faraway places like Iraq and Afghanistan, maybe Vietnam, or
World War II.
yikes, okay, good. Well, the greatest generation. The reason it's important to remember them is that, I mean, a lot of the stuff I do is designed to look magical, right? Ta-da! That's what we're going for. Magic, right? That's the whole concept here. But in reality, all of this is nothing compared to the courage and the sacrifice shown by those brave men and women. So let's close our time today by remembering.
Wow.
Thank you. God bless you. My name's Curtis. I perform mysteries. Thank you. Thank you. See, that's the thing about magic is that there's plenty of material to draw from, but it's the performer's job to delve into that corpus that's been created by magicians over the centuries and figure out a way to make it matter, to make it something special. To say cut and restored rope trick is a relatively blasé set of words. Before I performed that, I undertook that, which is considered a classic. You know, every magician knows how to do it. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make it not a cut and restored rope trick. It needs to be about something. And it struck me that there's an element of healing underlying that concept. Something has been ruptured. And with love and attention and something magical, maybe we can bring that rupture back together again. So the thought of healing, and developed a storyline around that. Without delving too deeply into the plot line, it involves a what's called curandero. I mean, maybe you know that term. It's roughly a Spanish term, although I think it might be more indigenous here in Latin America. It refers to a person who heals without using medicine. Another type of term would be shaman, maybe. And if you, maybe in a prior time we might have said witch doctor or something. That's a little demeaning, but so, curandero. So this story involves a curandero who encounters a little girl who's holding a dog in her arms, and the dog is obviously lifeless. She's weeping because her dog has stopped breathing. Well, he pulls up the dog's leash, he cuts it in two, and he has her blow on it, and it becomes whole again, and at that moment she can feel that her dog's breathing. So he uses magic to heal the dog. I perform that. I think it's a beautiful piece. It's a little on the heavy side for children's birthday parties, so my opportunities to perform that are a little limited. But I did perform it once, and there was a girl in the audience, probably 13 or so, and we were done. You know, the healing has happened, and I looked out, and there was this tear streaming down her cheek. You know, and it was beautiful because she had understood. She had kind of come with me on the journey. You know, she hadn't been tricked. She had been brought into an understanding of how amazing the world can be and how love and healing can change everything. So I kind of leaned over and gave her a little kiss on the cheek, and that was special. That was special. That it's not about trickery. It never has been for me. It's about connecting with people. But it's about little moments of setting aside your normal sense of things and entering into a different, more magnificent realm. And when you have those little sparks of connection and realize you've taken somebody there, that's really what this is about. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tune in next time, same place.